we welcome you into the second half hour of What's New. Thanks so much for spending time with us, along with Christy Paul, who is in for Betsy. Betsy's on assignment. I'm Jay Crawford.
She is, and glad to sit by you and talk to Jim here, because we've got somebody that we really need to pay attention to and remember, this legend in the Cleveland sports world, Jim.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a tough weekend.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Mueller, and welcome to today's edition of Cleveland Sports Scene. Well, as you can tell, we're at a racetrack. In fact,
So over the weekend, we learned Jim Mueller passed away. He once was the sports anchor here at WKYC, of course.
He also was the color commentator for a long time for the Cleveland Browns. Served in that capacity from 1975 through 1995. And yeah, those were two really fun eras, Cardiac Kids and, of course, Bernie Kosar's era. Voice of the Browns, Jim Donovan, joins us now to remember Jim Mueller's legacy. Jimmy, he was a legacy. I remember watching him as a young boy and, of course, listening to him on the Browns games for so many years. He was a fixture in the Cleveland sports scene.
He really was, Jay and Christy, at a time when Cleveland, of course, had three stations doing news, Channel 3, Channel 5, Channel 8, and the three guys that were the Monday through Friday sportscasters, they were important guys in the community at that time. They were really the guys you looked to tell you what was going on in the world of sports. He was my first boss when I arrived here in Channel 3 back in 1985, coming here from Burlington, Vermont, and I have to tell you, he did an amazing thing to help me. I mean, I didn't know anybody in town. And Jim would take me around each day, and he would introduce me to people who I needed to know to really get the job done. I'll never forget, took me down to the old stadium, and he said, Art Modell, I want you to meet our new sportscaster, Jimmy Donovan. And then he introduced me to Marty Schottenheimer, who had taken over as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns and lost the title of interim head coach. And he introduced me to Marty, and of course, Marty and I had a long-standing relationship through his years with the Browns. And that continued with the Indians and with the Cavaliers. Whoever I needed to know, Jim Mueller was the welcome wagon to make it easier for me. He did a great job, and he was a great mentor to me. And he was a great voice of the Cleveland Browns. And Jay, you touched on it perfectly. So many people remember him with Gib Shanley. He was his partner for so many years. And that Cardiac Kids year, those two just captured those down to the last second moments when the Browns had that miraculous season and looked like they were going on their way to the Super Bowl that year, to be denied by that frozen game against the Raiders here at the stadium. I don't think a lot of people know Jim really had a passion for auto racing. He was a race car driver, and then he became the voice of NASCAR on that circuit. Every weekend, he became the public address announcer at all of those big tracks with those hundreds of thousands of people that would go to those races at the time. My condolences go out to his family, his lovely daughter, Paige, his son, Kyle, who he was so proud of when he was a great high school football star over on the west side of Cleveland. Jim was 79 years old. Wow. There haven't been a lot of voices of the Browns. I'm proud to be that position right now. Yeah. He was one of the really great ones.
You know, when you think back, first of all, he had movie star good looks.
He did.
And his passion and enthusiasm for sports came out in all of his nightly reports. But one of the things that I remember about Jim, after he left the sports anchor world, I used to hear him as the voice of so many commercials.
That's right.
In Cleveland. And it was funny. Wherever I was living, whenever I would come home, I would always watch the stations. And when I would hear the commercials, I would say,
there
that's
it is.
Jim Mueller. His voice was so distinct, and he's certainly going to be missed.
Jay, he sold a lot of cars for Ed Mullinex and Pat O'Brien, didn't he?
Man, you aren't kidding. He was the voice of so many of those commercials for so many years. Jim Donovan, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
You got it.